Welcome to Heaven Ministries. Angie and Frank are going to answer readers' questions that have been sent into the marriage ministry. This segment is about what to do when married to a dry alcoholic.
Okay, here's a question that someone wrote in and asked. She said, or he said, I'm not sure whether, they said, I married a dry alcoholic. Now what can I do?
Don't you just love those questions where you're supposed to just have a solution? No, I say it that way because it's a one day at a time thing, because it's a spiritual issue for a person that's like that. It's what that really means is that there's a spiritual growth that needs to happen, and it's not going to happen overnight. And therefore it calls for patience on the part of the person that wrote in. And it's not just patience, it's patience with the long suffering and all the things that the scriptures describe that what love is. Patience, long suffering, and just being an example, being the example of what you would like the other person to be.
Well, I think that we should, what is a dry alcoholic? Some people might not know what that means.
Well, it's someone that acts as if they were drinking, but they're not. They exhibit behaviors that are similar to the behaviors that people that drink exhibit, and only if you lived with one you would know what that is, unless you're particularly knowledgeable of the subject, such as someone that works in the industry. But no, again, I mean, it's just one day at a time. It's an ongoing process. It's a growth process, and no growth process is going to happen overnight. So just all the kind of encouragement that you give in the ebook on detaching that you wrote applies to the very same issue. You're not going to have the kind of acting out as if when someone is drinking, but you still have a lot of the behaviors. So again, wanting to control the other person and fix them is something to be wary of, and be aware that, be careful, because it sounds like, you want a quick fix solution to fix the person, and you're not going to be able to do it.
Well, they have to do their own healing, right?
Absolutely.
Through principles maybe of forgiveness and digging up their
letting
past,
go, let God,
go.
Learning to deal with life on life's terms, things that happen throughout your week. Learn to deal with them in a positive manner, as opposed to reacting and or whatever the case may be.
I have a question. How is it that some people go to AA for years and they still haven't done the spiritual growth? Why is that? Is that because...
Well, that's a very controversial question. It's a good question. If you know the origins of AA, you know that the original founders were believers. But it evolved into a set of 12 steps where the first step was a power greater than ourselves. Learn to give your problems to a power greater than yourself. That is, detach yourself from your problems and give it to some other power. The problem is, what's that other power? And the original founders, as I said, were believers, and that's what they intended. But they also knew that if they were outright, they didn't want to be denominationally, or they didn't want to scare people away from sobriety initially. It's like enticing them into kindergarten before they can graduate, encouraging them to walk before they run, kind of a thing. But eventually, true growth comes from understanding that greater power is God.
That's
and
right.
I think that people that haven't made that step, that crossover, aren't, what was your question? Aren't
spiritually
aren't growing,
growing
spiritually. I just was looking for the terms you
I
used.
remember my AA sponsor said to me on my second day of going to AA, she said that my higher power could be a doorknob. And that's why I quit going to AA. I went to 2 meetings and that was enough for me.
I have friends in the Lord that got sober without AA, and it's because they have the Lord to lean on. You learn to lean on the Lord, and you grow in the knowledge of God by reading the Scriptures, studying them, and praying, and fellowshipping with other believers. So that's what Heaven Ministries is all about.
Okay then.
Thanks for coming. God bless.